for a while, which is nice. Welcome back! I'm sure that was pleasant. To the Lost Ledgers,
Hey, everybody.
I am
Howdy.
Shawn.
Hello.
I am joined by Justin,
Yo.
Adam,
Hi.
and Zach.
Hello.
We are bringing us back this week. We are still on our elements kick from last week. We did elemental spells. This week, we're doing elemental subclasses. How you guys feeling about this one? How you feeling this week?
Not good.
I'm feeling like my microphone's slightly out of whack, so I'm adjusting it.
Oh shit! I do know. I think this week was more of a struggle than usual. Maybe not.
Once I got into it, it was not nearly as bad.
Yeah. Also, we have had weeks where we struggled so much that we didn't bring anything. At least this week, the people who struggled still finished something. So maybe it's not the worst week so far. Like the Fey Monsters one we had a problem with. But
Yeah.
I think everybody brought at least one subclass. Adam overdid it and did two. I don't think we'll be able to do both of them, given how long it does take us to talk about subclasses usually.
I hope.
But you know what? I think we all came with pretty interesting stuff. I think we've got one storm-based subclass. We got a lightning-based subclass. We've got an all-element subclass. And I've brought a light-based subclass. I went the furthest away from the traditional elements. And even further than you think I might have gone, because I went a little bit creative with it. And then we do have one earth-based one, but we may not get to it. But yeah, for the sake of these being subclasses, take us a while to talk about them. I think we should just jump into them. Which means we can jump into here. The first one is the all elements based subclass that Justin brought to us. Justin, you want to go ahead and break this one down for us?
I want to preface this by I didn't realize that all of these subclasses outside of the PHB get like something completely different for their level 2 in terms of like they don't all get like the copy spells ability for they can like essentially have cheaper spells. I didn't realize that until I got home today. So I didn't have time to come up with something else for this.
It's still fine.
So Elemental Savant, beginning when you select this school at second level, or they're not. Well, I guess they're schools in terms of like the original ones, but fuck it.
Arcane Tradition is the generic name for them.
Yeah. I pretty much
just want to say,
pasted
I don't think English is Justin's first language because he constantly emphasizes the first syllable instead of the second in words, which is very strange to me.
Sure.
You said preface, and then you said savant or savant.
I don't know if that's how I don't know if I'm saying the word right.
I mean, you weren't. It's preface and savant.
All right. When you select the school at second level, the golden time you must spend to copy a spell that does fire, cold, lightning, or thunder damage into your spellbook is halved.
Nice.
Elemental control. Being at second level, your understanding of the elements composed from the weave allows you to manipulate them in ways others cannot. Whenever you cast a first level spell or higher that does fire, cold, lightning, or thunder damage, you can change the damage to, it should say, to the damage.
It does.
The damage it does to fire, cold, lightning, or thunder. Once you do this, you cannot do so again until you finish a short rest or expend a spell slot of first level or higher.
Okay.
Disruptive elements. At 6th level, whenever you or a creature you can see within 6 feet of you takes either fire, cold, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to give that creature resistance to that damage type. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier, minimum of 1, until you finish a long rest. Intensified control. When you reach 10th level, your understanding of elemental control allows you to become more potent whenever you alter the elements. When you use your elemental control to change the damage of a spell, you can roll a number of d4s equal to the spell's level. This spell cannot be higher than 6th level. And once you have used this ability, you cannot do so until you finish a long rest. Controlled elements. Your knowledge of the elements is nearly unparalleled. At 14th level...
Wait, I'm sorry. What do those D4s do?
It's supposed to be more damage, but I meant to... I fucked that part up when I was...
Okay.
It's supposed to be additional damage into it.
Okay, sure.
controlled elements. Your knowledge of the elements is nearly unparalleled. At 14th level, when you finish a long rest, you can select yourself and a number of creatures equal to your intelligence modifier, a minimum of 1, and give all them resistance to either fire, cold, lightning, or thunder damage.
Okay.
How
Hmm.
long does the last one last?
Until a long rest, I should state.
Okay.
Okay, so it lasts the whole long rest or the whole
It la-
day, basically.
Yeah, it pretty much
Yeah.
lasts until the whole day.
Hmm.
I went back and forth on a few different alternatives for it.
That one
I mean-
seems a bit strong, and also like it kind of like takes away from the disruptive elements one.
Well, a little bit,
Yeah.
because if you were a little bit with it, because obviously if you know that you're going to be going and facing like a red dragon, you're going to do fire and you're not going to really worry too much about
Mhm.
that. But if you're in a situation where something does, for you're facing multiple spellcasters or something that can use different damage types, or per se you are traversing an elemental plane and run into creatures that deal other types of damage. I was a little worried about the conflicting thing, but it felt more as they kind of can.
They just like can do it to more different things as well. Like that one for the whole day, and then like you can do it to other ones if they come upon as well.
Yeah.
Still, I get
I-
that. It feels a little conflicting, but I can see that. I'm concerned about it being all day.
I don't think it's that strong. Like resistance
No.
to one elemental damage type. I mean, yes, you do get to choose it, and yes, you do get to change it out each day, but it's still only resistance to one elemental damage type, and you don't even get all of the basic damage types to choose from here. It's just fire, cold, lightning, thunder. So I think that I don't think it's too strong, especially not for a 14th level wizard ability. I don't know.
My original idea for it was that you get resistance to all 4 of those types, but then I was like, no, that's a little too strong for like even a higher level ability.
Conceivably,
I don't
just
think
because
so.
it's I don't think it's necessarily too strong, but it's kind of boring.
All right.
This at least still gives you choices, and it like rewards you doing recon for like what you're going to be facing.
Yeah.
My biggest problem with this is that it's just sort of rehashing what the
Avocation.
oh no, not even that, the circle of scrolls, is that it?
Order of Scribes.
Order of Scribes, yeah.
It's a
sort of
combination
rehashing
of
what
the
the order.
two, yeah.
Order. I
Because the evocation lets you sculpt, which is kind of what disruptive element does, and order of Scribes lets you change out damage types to other spells that you
Yeah.
have, which is
I do think that-
essentially what.
I do think that this is a cool like merging of those two ideas. It's kind of doing something that's already been done with Order of Scribes. But I think that this
Yeah.
does it in a slightly more evocative way, because Order of Scribes is a lot more fiddly about it. It says like when you cast a first level spell, you can change its damage type to a damage type that another first level spell deals. It's
Yeah.
not just
It's any
switch
level
them in this.
spell with another spell of that same level in your spell book.
Right, yeah, sorry. I was just saying first level as an example, but I
Yeah.
can see how that was confusing. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I like that this is a little bit it's more open-ended in some ways, but it's more restricted in others. You can't do necrotic or radiant with this, but you also can't trigger it off of every spell. So I think that this is a good compromise between those, but I still
like
think this
this.
is really cool. I'm just a little concerned about the level 10 ability. Not
I
even
like
from
the
a
level 10.
and not even from a power level perspective. It just feels weird to me that you are stronger when you aren't doing what the spell is supposed to do.
I originally had I had a few
Hmm.
different ideas for this, but also part of the reason why I wasn't.
I don't
had-
think you need to restrict it to when you use that ability. I think it can just be
Oh, what if
ending
if
it.
it was? I think that you would want to lower the damage a bit, lower the
Well,
d4s. But I think
it
making
can't go over 6th tier. He has.
Right, but honestly, I'm not concerned about it going over 6d4. My concern is that if you're doing it on every spell that's eligible for
No.
Elemental control, then like
Well, you still keep the only do it once per long rest thing.
shit, I didn't even see the once per long rest restriction.
So I'm gonna be honest about this. I think this subclass is very boring.
I'm
when
aware.
when I think about like a wizard who controls the elements, this is like so in my thought. This is too baseline. It's too combat focused. I feel like a wizard who controls the elements should be able to do a lot of their stuff outside of combat. All of these abilities are combat oriented. There's not a single one that isn't combat oriented, which I find kind of boring personally. Now, obviously, there are some schools where it makes sense, like evocation fits best for battle, so all of its things are based on battle. But like the Order of Scribes, for instance, that does have some abilities you could do outside of combat, and some of those abilities are arguably just as good as these ones with less fallbacks or less drawbacks. Um, like being able to switch out your damage type for any other damage type of a spell that you have in your spell book is arguably better because you can have a spell that does force damage and that or psychic damage, and those are infinitely better damage types than the elemental ones. Besides Thunder, Thunder's very good. Um, and I don't know. I just don't feel.
I feel like wizards get enough of like a choice of spells that you can choose anyways that you can make your wizard have good out of combat things. Like
yeah, I think that the fact that like wizards are so customizable already. Like there's a reason why when you look at the like the full class table for the wizard, it looks very empty because at most levels wizards get nothing other than their spells, because the spells are really the defining element for a wizard. Like, but I kind of see where Shawn's coming from. There are other wizard subclasses that are very combat focused, like abjuration and evocation. Both are already very combat focused. Honestly, even necromancy is pretty combat focused. So I don't think it's.
I don't have an issue with it being combat focused. I just think that it's boring in the way that it is combat focused. I don't see a scenario where I would rather have this than evocation. I think evocation does a way better job for combat oriented wizarding. Especially since a lot of these abilities that this wizard is getting is just like spells a wizard can get anyway. Like its 14th level ability is just a stronger protection from energy. And at 14th level, protection from energy is not even that awesome. And being able to have your entire party be resistant to an elemental type is pretty good if you know what you're getting yourself into. But then I feel like most days it's not that good. So like
most days you don't know what kind of elements you're getting into.
I don't have an issue with these abilities. I just feel like this thing could probably use some other ribbons that could make their abilities more usable most days, which I feel like this one doesn't do, unfortunately, especially that 14th level ability. I think having the capstone ability for a subclass dependent on recon, not just rewarding, but dependent on recon, is very underwhelming. Because that ability is useless if you don't have any information. Because you just have to get lucky for it to be good. And then intensified control, I agree that like having it dependent on elemental controls a little bit weird. I don't mind the ability because it's not dependent on anything. It's just, it's a stronger buff to spells that do this damage. That's good. Destructive Elements is, in my opinion, just a weaker version of the sculpting ability that the wizard gets.
I disagree with that because the sculpting one is specifically for your spells. This is for you're able to do it, at any point if someone else is casting a fireball or someone else
right, but this also consumes your reaction. And it's also once per long rest, whereas sculpt is unlimited.
Well, it's a number of times for your intelligence modifier, but
sorry,
it's
limited by long rest, whereas sculpt is unlimited. As an evocation wizard, I don't have to worry about like overdoing the damage of my allies. And like this is resistance
I'd still disagree. I think this is just useful in different ways from sculpted, not like.
I think this is useful exactly the same way.
I mean, not at all. This is an ability that can protect your allies from other elemental damagers. Like,
I get that it's useful even if your opponent does damage, but because it's limited by how often it can be used, I think that the sculpt spells is better. Even though it has a less wide variety of uses.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair. I think Sculpt Spell is the stronger ability, but I think that this one is substantially different. I think that it probably could afford to have the limit per long rest removed, though, especially since it consumes your reaction. Like,
yeah, I was worried about just like it being a reaction thing that you can do at any point, but that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
I don't know
think it's super strong.
How many other reaction things are you using as a wizard?
Shield,
Counterspell,
Shield.
Absorb element.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of reactions you could be using.
There's a few important ones.
Then yeah, if you're using your reaction, then I think that's totally fine. But I like this. For me, this class, the only thing that I think this is just like preference wise, and I think that's a lot of what wizards are in general, anyways. But I think the 14th level one might need to be just made more evocative or interesting in some sort of way to me. But the rest of it, honestly, I really like.
Honestly, maybe just like tack on some ribbon to the 14th level ability. Like maybe that could be the meat of it, but just give it a little bit something extra because the 14th level ability just feels a little underwhelming, I think. I also I feel weird about the 10th level ability, but I think it's fine, like balance wise. It just feels kind of weird to me.
The 4th level ability, I think, could just be roll a number of additional damage dice to a roll. So, like, if it's D8s, you roll more D8s. If it's D6s, you roll more D6s. And not have a long rest restriction. Not have a level restriction. I don't think there's an issue with you casting an 8th level spell, then adding 8 more D6s on top of it once per long rest.
All right. I was being careful with this because I wasn't too certain on how I am not as in well versed with wizards. So I don't know like a ton of their spells. I know like a lot of spells in general, but I don't know their shit. And
I mean, honestly, just the fact that you're limiting it to once per long rest, like you could let it do a lot and still it would be fine. Because essentially,
I would say let it be once per short rest, personally. Because for your very strong spells, like 6th level and higher, you only cast those once per day anyway. You can't get those back on your arcane recovery. And for 5th level and lower, giving them additional 1 to 5 d6s is not that bad. I mean, it is effectively for, let's say, Fireball, for instance. It's effectively casting Fireball at 6th level, but spells damage does not. All spells damages do not scale that greatly usually. At lower levels, 1 additional die per spell level is not great scaling. Fireball and Lightning Bolt are kind of exceptions because they start strong. But like, say, I don't know, Burning Hands, for instance, casting Burning Hands at 5th level is not as good as any other 5th level fire spell, especially not 5th level Fireball. So like, it wouldn't be that bad to give Burning Hands an additional 1d6.
Well, and at the
Ray, an addition. Scorching Ray would actually be a great spell. Actually, thinking about it, if you did it the way that I said, but yeah,
each beam would do 4d6 damage then.
Yeah.
Well, and at the other end of the scale, Meteor Swarm deals so much damage that adding 9d6 to it isn't really anything. Like that's what 1/4 of the total damage, which I mean a 25% buff isn't nothing, but like it's already so much damage.
Yeah. I think I think one of the bigger, and I mean, I know it's a preference thing that I say when I think it's boring out to the combat, but I feel like it I agree. Part of that I think is just because I feel like it's underdoing what it could do in combat.
I feel like you could fix a lot of that by swapping out the spellbook half of the 2nd level ability for something more evocative and utility, like out of combat utility.
Yeah, like I thought that was just like the general thing that like all wizards got.
And I mean, it was for the first 8 wizard subclasses.
What you could do is give it the ability to like, let's say every short rest, it can swap out one of the elemental cantrips for another one, and it can cast that cantrip as a bonus action.
Oh yeah, maybe like give it a short table of like, okay, these are your like 4 basic elemental cantrips. Whenever you finish a long rest, choose one of these cantrips. You know it and can cast it as a bonus action. Like
Yeah, so like mold, earth, or not gust of wind. I think it's just called gust.
Gust, yeah, Gust of Wind's a first level
all
spell.
of those low level kind of utility-ish elemental spells, and I think that would work really well for this. I probably wouldn't pick any of the combat ones, just because casting combat cantrips as a bonus action would be pretty strong.
Yeah. So that's definitely.
And I think that would, really for my preference, that would help a lot for the lack of outside of combat interest, because even evocation has a little bit of combat interest. Because there are some evocation spells that, like, sculpting them outside of combat could be useful.
I think, honestly, the wizard that has the least out-of-combat stuff is Abjuration. Just because, like, the only thing they have that is out of combat at all is being able to add their proficiency to dispel magic checks. Like, that's it. I think everything else is in combat.
Though I would say that Abjuration helps with exploration as well. It's obviously not a very social subclass. I don't think most wizard spell or subclasses are social, but I think they all have pretty decent. Besides evocation, I think they all have pretty decent exploration potential.
I think war magic might be the most, in combat, no out of combat. I just checked out all their abilities. None of them really work outside of combat.
Well, no, they also have decent exploration because the reaction they get is pretty good in exploration if they have to make a save against a trap. Really, that's the only situation.
I guess,
get hit by a trap. But yeah, I think a limit or take off some of the limiters on this. I think you're overcompensating the limiters. And add that little thing at the first level or the second level, and I think this would be. I think this turns this into actually a pretty fun subclass, because I think one of my reactions to it, like I said, it's not just that like it doesn't have out of combat stuff. It's just that in combat, I feel like it's underselling itself.
That's fair. Yeah, I think this is a. I think this is a good this is a good framework for a class. You just needed a shot in the arm on some of these abilities. I think you were just a little too conservative on basically all of them.
Yeah, definitely.
That's actually ability. Except the second half of the second level ability. I think that one you got perfect. Like, that one's fine, but the other 4 abilities, I think I'll just need a little bit more juice.
Now, is that worded correctly for or expend a spell slot of first level or higher?
I think you would need to add the phrase to do so at the end of that. So once you use this ability, you cannot do so again until you finish a short rest or expend a spell slot of first level or higher to do so. I think that's how they phrase it in Tasha's, but I don't actually own Tasha's, so I don't know.
I was trying to look through and find where it said that.
What is your intention with that? Like,
my
do you want them?
You can do it for free the first time, but anytime you do it after that, you have to spend a spell slot.
An additional spell slot?
Yes, an additional spell slot.
Okay.
That's my intention for it.
Yeah, I would. You could probably. Yeah, you could make that like. There are other Tasha things that do that. Just make it so you can consume a spell slot and then boom, you have it back again.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think there's monk and sorcerer abilities in Tasha's that let you do that. It's like, do this once for short rest, or when you spend 4 sorcery points to do so. Yeah,
stuff like that.
I think the thing that was just mostly on my mind was I was trying my hardest to make sure I wasn't stepping on that new sorcerer meta magic ability to alter a spell with the.
The thing is that sorcerer meta magic was kind of stepping on the Order of Scribes' toes, like, to begin with. So
true, except sorcerers need more love.
Is that meta magic from Tasha's?
I think so, yeah. So technically they were published in the same book, but the lore wizard UA is way older than that meta magic.
True. All right. I think we covered that one pretty strongly. I'm willing to move on to, I think next one's Adams. I think it's the Paladin.
Sick.
Yep. Oath of the Thunderhead. Adam, why don't you go ahead and walk us through this one?
All right, we got the Oath of the Thunderhead. Your oath spells which you get at the listed levels. For first level spells, you have access to Fog Cloud and Thunderous Smite. Second level spells, you get Gust of Wind and Misty Step. Third level spells, you get Call
Yes.
Lightning and Wind Wall. What?
Yes,
What?
Misty Step.
Yeah. Fourth level spells, you get Freedom of Movement and Ice Storm. And for fifth level spells, you get Cone of Cold and Conjure Elemental. For your channel divinities, you get the following channel divinity options. Storm Step. As a bonus action, you can use your channel divinity to double your walking speed for the next minute. And Bolt from the Blue. As a bonus action, you can use your channel divinity to make a ranged spell attack against a creature you can see within 90 feet of you. On a hit, the creature takes 3d6 lightning damage and must make a Constitution saving throw or be blinded until the end of its next turn, and the damage scales as you level. Aura of Electricity. Beginning at 7th level, you exude an aura that leaves your companions discomfited, but alert and ready to move. While you aren't incapacitated, creatures within 10 feet of you can't be surprised as long as they're conscious and can take the dash action as a bonus action on their turn. Overload.
I feel like you weren't very happy with the way that the Oath of Heroism was published.
No, I'm fucking pissed about it. Overload. Once you reach 15th level, the power of the storm flows out of your empowered strikes. Whenever you use your Divine Smite feature, any number of creatures of your choice within 15 feet of you must make a dexterity saving throw, taking 2d8 lightning damage on a failure, or half as much on a success. And Capstone, which I forgot to name. At 20th level, you can manifest the divine power of storms. As a bonus action, you gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You're immune to lightning damage. You gain blind sight with a range of 60 feet. You gain a flying speed equal to twice your walking speed. And whenever you hit a creature with a melee attack, the creature takes an extra 2d6 lightning damage.
All right. What are your thoughts before we start digging into this one?
I'm a little unhappy with the capstone in particular. I felt like it was just kind of kitchen sink, which a lot of the Paladin capstones feel kind of kitchen sink to me, but this one felt really bad. I like Overload and the channel divinities, and I'm on the fence about the aura. I feel like I could have done something cooler with the aura, but this one felt all right. Honestly, the alertness was the thing that I liked better, and the dash action was just sort of thrown in there because I felt like the alertness wasn't enough.
Yeah. So I have two things I just want to say right off the bat. One, Storm Step explicitly calls out walking speed. Did you do that just because you didn't want it to double your capstone, which already doubles your walking speed?
Kind of, yeah. I went back and rephrased both of those abilities to make sure they didn't stack with each other.
Okay. And the other thing I wanted to say is that I feel like Aura Electricity, you might want to specify when a creature starts their turn within 10 feet of you, just because it comes up with the question of if someone moves out of your aura before they use their bonus action, can they still dash, or must they be in your bonus or in your aura, use their bonus action there to dash?
My intention was that they would need to use the bonus action while inside your aura, because I wanted to enable the use case where someone is outside of your aura, moves into it, and then can dash from there.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you could always bonus action dash first anyways, right?
You could,
yeah. If you
movement
start there,
afterwards, so.
that's the thing. If you start there, you can just use the bonus action before you do anything.
Okay, I think you did it right.
What if you made it dash and dodge?
So dodge as a bonus action is very restricted. It is very hard to get access to that. I don't think it'd be.
I would say if you
dodge is
dash
underutilized
with dodge, I think that would fit very well with them not being able to be surprised and like.
Yeah. That's actually even better. Yeah, I like that a lot better.
I thought it was going to be dodge instead of dash.
Actually, I don't know why I didn't think of that. That is so much better. I wish I had thought of that. I think replace dash with dodge there.
That's really strong, and I mean, I can't outside of like.
Is it stronger than? Well, never mind. I was just kind of dumb. Go on.
It's outside of like the monk. I can't think of any other like instance of being able to get the dodge action as a bonus action.
I don't think anyone else does. I think it's just the monk.
So,
which I think is a missed opportunity. But I also think I don't think getting dodge as a bonus action is that much stronger than say resistance to all spell damage.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think
it gives you advantage on one type of saving throw, and it gives you basically like it just grants disadvantage on attacks against you, which I don't think are particularly overpowered abilities.
I
If
think-
it's only
it's-
within 10 feet of you, I mean.
Yeah,
well,
I mean, it goes up
think
to
of it as-
30 at 18th level, but
Well, think of it as
Well.
the paladin taking the dodge action every single turn as a bonus action.
I mean,
Sure.
if you don't have anything better to do with your bonus action, sure, why not?
I think that's real. I think that is a really strong thing for your frontline fighter to be able to do. The dodge action being on the monk as a bonus action is because they don't.
Well,
They're
the
not
paladin,
as
the paladin is one of the classes that has a ton to do with their bonus action because all the smite spells are bonus action spells.
Yeah.
that's fair.
And if
I
someone's
think-
so basically, this is a decision on the paladin. Do I want to be more defensive or more offensive? And the bonus
And-
action is their way of deciding that.
The rest
But
of this
also-
gives you a bunch of stuff to do with your bonus action. Well, 2 divinities, but
That's the thing.
True.
You've got 2 channel divinities to do with your bonus action, and actually, I think several of those spells are bonus action spells.
Misty Step is.
Yeah, Misty Step is.
I
the
don't think
Thunderous Smite
anything
is.
but I don't think anything else is.
Cold
But,
Lightning as a bonus action while you have it active is.
I thought it was
it was
another
an
action
action.
on each of your turns.
Might be an action. It's definitely
That's the thing.
I do want to
Um,
talk about the spell list. Because
What's
this
your
is-
complaint?
This is a
is it
really
Ice Storm?
No, this is a really strong spell list.
Oh, you thought this was a strong spell list?
Yes.
Oh,
I
okay. See, and
My-
I thought that.
My issue with spell list is that I feel like it misses the flavor a little bit in some spots. Like I think cold doesn't really fit the flavor of this class at all. For instance,
There's basically nothing at 5th level that fits the flavor.
yeah, I ran into that problem as well.
Yeah. I really wanted to use SRD spells for this. Although, actually, I don't even know if these are SRD. They're PHB, but I don't know that they're SRD.
Right.
So, I guess maybe I didn't need to restrict myself that way since I wasn't actually checking if they were SRD. I was just looking for PHB. But like,
Yeah, if you're
5th
doing
level,
SRD, this is basically impossible.
yeah, like okay, 5th level, looking outside of PHB, I thought Maelstrom might work from Xanathar's. I also thought that Control Winds from Xanathar's might be a good option.
That's a good option.
And I was looking at. Nope, it was just those 2. It was basically just those 2. So Maelstrom
I know
and
it's
Control
very
Winds.
similar to the table I just made for the Storm Sorcerer. I think Steel Wind Strike works perfectly for this class.
yes.
Actually, that could work. Yeah, I don't think that's action 62. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I would be happy.
Yeah.
I would be happy putting Steel Wind Strike on this list. So yeah, Steel Wind Strike, Maelstrom, and Control Winds, all from Xanathar's, I think are good options for this spell list.
This is a strong class. I subclass. I will admit. I think the bonus action range spell attack, you might want to make that as an action.
You think that's too strong?
I think it's too strong being able to use your action to make 2 attacks and then as a bonus action make a 3rd ranged attack.
I think that's fair.
Right, but I mean, it's not like you can do that all the time. That's limited by your channel divinities. Like,
Right.
I
but
think
they're-
I'm kind of with a lot of the other channel divinities are in action that are like this strong. Between
Like-
the cleric and the paladin.
like the Oath of Ancients, like strong one, is their thing that they can use to restrain a target within 10 feet of them, and that's an action, and the target gets to choose if they make a strength or dex save for that. So
Hell,
okay,
even like the Oath of Conquest, like their strong one is granting the frightened condition for a minute, and frightened's not as good as blinded.
but this
at
is
high levels, at
behind.
least.
This is behind a hit and a con save. Like,
True. It does require 1 success and a failure, so it's harder to get this to actually proc. Also, it's not for half damage on a failure or on a success.
right? That's the thing. Since it's a spell attack, it's not halved. It's all or nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm against this being a bonus action.
I
Because it's a hit for damage and a save for the blindness, and honestly, 3d6 for a bonus action attack, maybe a couple times per short rest. I don't think it's that bad, especially since, like we just discussed, this thing has a lot of other bonus actions already.
Right, like doubling your movement, which you probably want to get off on the first turn of combat.
Yeah. I don't disagree that this is a strong subclass. I just don't have a problem with it as it is.
No, I'm not saying I have a problem with it. I just think that there's a few things that I think, especially when you compare it to other like paladins and other even channel divinities, it's strong. I guess because there's not really anything else that I can think of off the top of my head for where it's you need a success and then a failure.
I mean, here's some spells, but
in terms of like channel divinities,
that's the thing. There's not that many channel. Honestly, there's not that many channel divinities that straight up do damage. Like,
yeah,
that's true.
Which I think is another
well,
missed opportunity.
Here's an example. The Oath of the Crown has 2 bonus action channel divinities. One of them makes it so that the enemy can't move away from you if they fail their save, which is pretty good. And sort of make sure can't really move 30. There's no duration on it, so they just can't move away from you until they're either incapacitated, or no, you're incapacitated, or they
or if you
30 feet away.
Yeah, if you leave the range, it ends.
Yeah, so like there's one that just forces them to stay within range of you, which is pretty good, and the other one deals damage. It's just it looks like an AOE. Each creature.
Wait,
where's
that's
oh no,
regains
HP. Sorry, regains HP.
Yeah, that's healing, not
where's
damage.
Where's Crown at?
That's from Skag. It's from Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Which is why the Oath of Crown Paladin is super fucking weird. It's like it's in the same book as the Purple Dragon Knight Fighter.
Yeah.
And the Battle Rager Barbarian.
Yeah. This is the Crown is Oath of Crown's weird.
Yeah,
it's very
as
weird.
I recall, it's a pretty weak subclass too. Most of the stuff from Skag was pretty weak, except for the Blade Singer, which they then powered up.
I think those 2 subclasses, or not subclasses, but channel divinities are pretty good.
That's the thing. The channel divinities on Crown are good. I guess I don't know. I haven't looked at Oath of the Crown, but anyways, back to my thing.
Right, back to you.
Yeah, I was just using that as an example of comparison.
So that's the thing. If we think Bolt from the Blue is too strong, I'm not opposed to making it weaker. But
I think I'm just the most worried about pretty much being able to get like a third attack off and fit a condition into that's a possibility.
Right, but I mean, is it that much better than using your bonus action to cast a smite spell so that one of your 2 attacks deals way more damage? Like, and like we said, the condition is behind a hit on an attack roll and a fail on a strong save.
Yeah, it is an all or nothing hit roll too. So
the damage does also scale for whereas a smite spell won't scale.
We could remove the scaling. Honestly, I tossed in the scaling at the last second because I was like, 3d6 at 20th level? Why would I even bother?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also at that point too, why would you even bother using this when, again, the con save, like they have the.
And that's part of why I wanted to have the scaling damage, because eventually creatures aren't failing con saves. Like, it just doesn't happen anymore.
Or they're immune blinded.
It's also worth noting, as far as I could tell, and maybe you can correct me just because I feel like we've had this conversation before, the paladin only gets 1 channel divinity per rest.
Yeah.
Per short rest. So
fuck yeah! So you can't even do Storm Step and Bolt from the Blue in the same combat. You have to pick one.
No.
Yeah.
If this is a once per combat thing, I don't think that's that big of a deal.
As far as the other features on this class,
we'll move on.
I think Aura Electricity is great. I think a dodge action would be cool, as opposed to a dash action. I understand.
Yeah, I think
again, just interpretation on that, but I also think that dodge is just underutilized, and I don't think it's as so strong that it should be so underutilized. I mean, think about it this way. Dodge and dash are treated as equal for the monk. They're both 1 key point as a bonus action. So does Wizards think that dash is that much, or dodge is that much stronger? Not really, if they think it only costs 1 key point for the monk as well.
Right. Unless they think that dash really should only cost half of a key point, and they just weren't willing to get that granular.
Yeah, they weren't willing to give it to the monk for free, like they do the extra attack for the monk, which would be weird.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't like dodges that bad. I think, like I said, the paladin has plenty of other bonus actions to do.
Yeah.
I like the extension for the divine smite. I think more paladin subclasses could do with stuff like that. Like when you do your divine smite, blah. I think it's a really cool touch. One of you might be getting an ability like that at 20th level. Who knows who will get it?
What?
Who knows who the 20th level paladin in this group is?
I'm not even a 20th level paladin. I'm a poor excuse for a level 20 paladin.
But and I think that, as you said, the capstone is pretty kitchen sink, but I think it's kitchen sink in a way that works for this subclass, which I think is fine for capstone.
One of the abilities that I was tossing around for the capstone, but I ended up not using, I replaced it with the flying speed and the 2d6 lightning damage, was basically a stolen idea from Justin's spells and the fourth Hokage from Naruto. It was going to be text along the lines of, whenever you make an attack as part of an attack action, before the attack, you can teleport up to 30 feet next to a creature that you can see and have that creature be the target of the attack. But the problem is, paladins are only making 2 attacks per turn, so like you aren't actually getting that much teleportation out of that. So I wasn't sure how useful that was. It felt super evocative to me, but I didn't know how good it was.
I mean, that sounds dope as fuck to me.
Yeah, that sounds pretty baller.
Okay, so I'm glad you guys think that's cool. I took that out because I was like, well, you're only making 2 attack actions. You're only making 2 attacks on your turn. You've got a flying speed of 60, so like you're probably not going to have trouble getting to them. But
one thing also I think is that this paladin does evoke kind of a dexterous build. And if you're a two-handed paladin, you can get 3 attacks per turn. It rewards that build.
That's fair. Yeah.
Also, if you use your you were talking about how like these 2 effects, your Storm Step ability wouldn't be able to affect your or like stack with your capstone ability, but I mean it does in a way because
sorry, they do stack, but I wanted to make it so that they weren't doing the same thing.
Right.
I didn't want them to both say double your walking speed.
Right.
So I had one of them give you a flying speed.
So I think that's fucking pretty cool because you essentially can just get up to 120
120 foot fly speed. Yeah.
For, like in the same not in the same turn because it's also as a bonus action. Jesus fuck. Is everything in this class a bonus action?
Okay, almost every paladin capstone is a bonus action.
That's
the only
fair.
one I can find that wasn't a bonus action is always on.
That's fair. I couldn't recall if they were bonus actions or not.
They're mostly bonus actions.
Yeah.
So I almost think this is gonna, okay. Well, this one isn't going to be sounding as weird, but I think also tack in immune to thunder damage as well, because I think
whatever.
It's so minute, but it'll feel nice when it happens.
An immunity to an uncommon damage type as a 20th level stance, sure, whatever.
I was gonna say I feel like every reference to lightning on this class maybe should be thunder, just because I think there's nothing in the game that's thunder based. And it's called Oath of the Thunderhead. I just think that would be cooler.
Yeah, honestly, I'm fine with that because I'm not. Except, well, the thing is, Bolt from the Blue probably should stay lightning. But
I mean, you could change the name to something else.
I guess, but like,
what are your?
You don't even have a name for the capstone. You have room to change the names.
You don't even have tenants, Adam. How dare you make a paladin and not make their tenants? What is the tenants for the subclass? I need to know.
Being sexy as fuck all the time. Fuck
off. I don't need what your characters are, Adam. I know that.
Oh man. Okay, but yeah, no, I could see Bolt from the Blue being honestly, yeah. I think changing all of the references to lightning damage to thunder damage does make it cooler because, like, there's already several subclasses that do lightning. And I mean, this was in my head. This was a more generic storm paladin, not just lightning, but lightning's kind of the coward's way out when you're doing storms.
You could just do both of the Stormhead.
No, okay, but the thing is, Stormhead isn't a word. Thunderhead is a word. Like,
what?
Yeah. Okay. Have you never heard?
Anything's a word if you say it out loud.
No,
Exactly.
okay, so
That's why Stormhead's a word.
A thunderhead is a type of thundercloud. Like.
Okay.
Also, because this thing does have a focus on movement and stuff, maybe make one of the third level spells Thunderstep as opposed to Call Lightning or Wind Wall.
Yes. That's the thing. Once I move out of my self-imposed PHB restriction, Thunderstep I think is way cooler.
Yeah.
And then that would also fit in with the capstone beam to let you teleport.
Yeah.
So here's.
Oh yeah. Do you think that we could just would we like what replace the damage on the capstone with that, or replace the fly speed, or
I think replace the damage. Here's.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm gonna get a little weird with your capstone ability here.
Please do.
Remove the blind sight. Give them an extra attack.
That would help the teleportation. I don't think giving an extra attack is that crazy. I think it would help in the case that we're removing a good amount of damage per attack with an additional attack.
Yeah, I think that's sure. Let's do it.
I think
interesting.
That helps.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so like, yeah, just replace the blind sight thing with some text that says when you take the attack action on your turn, you can make 3 attacks.
Yeah, I think like the Oath of Conquest, or whatever the one of those is from Xanathar's.
I think that's Conquest.
It's I'm sorry, the new one from Tasha's. I think they have something like that in it for where they have the
Glory.
Third. Yes, Glory. I think
Glory does not get a third attack.
Not for
I am intimately familiar with. Oh wait, the capstone. Fuck, I don't know. I don't look at any abilities.
No, you were right. It was Conquest at first. You were right.
It was Conquest.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you take the attack action turn, you can make it one additional attack as part of that action. Yeah. Also, they get resistance to all damage. Though theirs is an action to do as opposed to a bonus action. Your first turn is a little bit used up.
But that's fair to essentially become a barbarian, but better.
Yeah. Also, you should probably add to your capstone once per long rest, just as a thought.
Yeah.
Once per long rest, unless you expend a 5th level spell slot to do it again.
I really like.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That's how the one from Tasha's does it. So.
Ooh,
okay, nice. I think the paladins should. They should really retroactively do those things if they're going to do it to some classes and not others.
Yeah, they should. What do you guys think of Overload? I know Shawn said he liked it keying off of Divine Smite. But...
I was initially a little when I first saw it. I think I was still like reeling from the backlash of just like the rest of this of how strong the subclass is. I think it is.
Okay.
I think it's pretty good. I like it. Shawn brought a good point.
I think it's cooler with Thunder. Maybe make it a con save instead of a deck save. But just because it is Thunder instead of Lightning. But I like it.
I honestly agree with you that this is cooler as a thunder based.
I think so.
I have a question. Does this also include the creature that you are hitting with your Divine Smite?
Any number of creatures your choice within 15 feet of you.
Hell, if you want, it could include you.
You could, yeah.
You use your capstone ability, and then you just use it on yourself just to flex on them.
Yeah,
you do it on yourself, and then as a reaction, use absorb elements, so you get thunder in your next attack. And then...
Oh goodness! But yeah, no, I think I like all the changes we discussed. Swapping the lightning damage to thunder damage, swapping the dash action on Aura of Electricity to a dodge action, swapping the blind sight on the capstone for an extra attack, swapping the damage on the capstone for the teleportation per attack. I would want to limit that to attacks on your turn, so you can't be teleporting when you try to do like an opportunity attack or something.
That could get fiddly.
Yeah. So the thing, I think limiting that to attacks on your turn would do just fine. And then the changes to the oath spells that we already discussed.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
I think this is a fun little subclass to play with.
Hell yeah! Fun little subclass. Thanks, guys. I'm glad that I went through with this one, because this was my second idea, and I like it better than my first one. So,
all right. I think we're ready to move on here. I think the next one is... Oh, it's Zach's. I thought it was mine. We got Now that we've changed yours to thunder,
Yeah,
this
exactly what I was
this
gonna
one
say.
being lightning is a little bit less redundant.
Yep. All right. I've got Way of Flow Manipulation. Monks of the Way of Flow Manipulation have learned to harness the electrical energy that courses through them and use this in a variety of ways. Whether it's using this energy for lightning speed or channeling the powers deep within them, the monks of this tradition are focused and trained to be able to take their bodies beyond its limits. It's just the small list of what they get, but at 3rd level, you get Impulse Discharge. At 3rd level, you gain the ability to use your focus and training to harness the electrical impulses inside you and move great distances in the blink of an eye. As a bonus action, you can teleport up to your movement speed to any unoccupied spot you can see. You can do this once before you finish a short rest. Shocking is short or long rest. Shocking Diligence. At 6th level, you've learned the ability to put all of your energy into one ability for an extended period of time. Once per long rest, you can take 1 hour to meditate and gain one of the following effects for 8 hours. Dark Vision out to 60 feet. Add your proficiency to initiative rolls. Gain proficiency in one skill of your choice. Increase your speed by 10. I wanted more and I couldn't think of any. So if you have any, please.
Pretty good.
Improved Impulse Discharge. At 11th level, when you use your Impulse Discharge ability, you now move so fast you leave behind an explosion of lightning where you stood. Any creature within 5 feet of the spot you teleported from must make a dexterity saving throw, DC 8 proficiency wisdom modifier. On a failed save, 3d8 lightning damage or half as much on a success. Flow Overdrive. At 17th level, you've mastered the power of electricity running through your body and you've completely enhanced your abilities. You gain the following benefits. Your Impulse Discharge ability can now be used 2 times before finishing a short rest. You can now pick 2 benefits from the Shocking Diligence ability. Your improved Impulse Discharge ability now deals 68 lightning damage. Your unarmed melee attacks deal an extra 1d6 lightning damage. Additionally, once per long rest, you can spend 5 key points after you hit with a melee attack to attempt to release a large amount of electric energy. The target must make a Constitution saving throw, 8 proficiency mod, wisdom modifier. On a failed save, the target is paralyzed and takes double damage from any lightning damage done until the end of your turn. On a successful save, not game, the target is not paralyzed.
Damn. All right.
I think this is fucking awesome.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff here.
The first thing I want to point out.
Before we start saying things, Zach, do you got any thoughts?
No, I think this class speaks for itself. All
right.
I thought it was a really good way to put everything in there. I think it might be strong, at least the last one ability, but
So the first thing I want to point out is that where you're specifying the DC of the saving throw, you could just say your key save DC because the monk already has a key save DC, so you can just say that.
Perfect.
That was the
cool.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. This is really
so
fucking
a
sweet.
couple of things I just think this could do without it like breaking a thing. Impulse Discharge, I think, could be once for short rest, or you could spend 2 key points to do it again. And then when you get to Flash Overdrive, you could just make that cost 1 key point, so half as much. And I think that would accomplish the same thing where it's like, it gets empowered by that. I wanted to talk most about Shocking Diligence because I like Shocking Diligence a lot. I had an idea.
Cool.
Instead of add your proficiency mod for initiative checks and gain proficiency in one skill of your choice, you can make it so that you add your wisdom mod to any dexterity ability checks that you make. So that would include initiative, and that would include things like stealth, sleight of hand, acrobatics.
But it's not your proficiency.
Which is different from wisdom for some abilities in the game. But it'd be stronger at lower levels and not or potentially weaker at higher levels. But it would also include more things than just initiative or just one skill. So I think it would kind of like balance out in that way. I think that'd be a cool, flavorful way to make it seem like my wisdom modifier as a monk matters for this ability.
Okay.
Which I think would be cool. That was just my first thought.
I love a lot about Impulse Discharge. Shocking Diligence. I can't think of much more to add to this.
Yeah, just Shocking Diligence was mainly I wanted to add the ability for out of combat stuff to be helpful as well. So that's why I did want it to be like any skill.
Well, and it can still be a combat utility because you can just choose increase your speed by 10 or add your proficiency to initiative.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Because
I almost put you could do lightning, extra lightning damage, and then I was like, no, I don't want it to be like specifically combat. I want there to be like niche combat uses for it, but not like it to be a combat ability that you're getting or feature that.
I think saving the extra lightning damage for the 17th level ability was a nice touch because it definitely still feels right for the class to get it, but it would be kind of too early and you'd have to give it to them in too weak of a form if you gave it earlier.
I was trying to think too, because that 3d8 lightning damage at level 11 is not that strong, right?
But it's free. It's free for like it's something that happens alongside something you already wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, and like if I add that you can do the thing with key points as well, then you can do it
more often. It's not just happening once for short rest.
That's true. That was my. I think that was definitely where my initial concern was because it's like tacking this on. Like it's a nice little add-on, but it feels weak for an 11th level ability. But adding that, getting it back by expending 2 key points, I think that's fair. I think this is good.
I like that.
I think we have to figure out a little bit of the wording on your on the lightning damage for flow overdrive for when you
just say that they gain vulnerability. Just say that they gain vulnerability to lightning damage until the end of your next turn.
Sure. Yeah. Not the end of your next turn, the end of that turn.
Just they gain vulnerability.
Not giving them that for everybody else. That is only for you to use.
The main reason is because when they're paralyzed, you are essentially going to be dealing double damage anyways. So just make sure that you say vulnerable.
It is very strong. I thought about making it cost more key points.
5 is already a lot though, because you only ever get 20.
Yeah, and 5 is the same as the fucking one-shot ability that the fucking Way of the Open Palm gets.
I wouldn't make it vulnerable just because that would supersede any creatures that have immunity or resistance, and would effectively make those creatures lose their ability.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I mean, you could just say like if the creature isn't resistant or immune to lightning damage, it becomes vulnerable.
You could do that.
That's a little hacky, but like...
Yeah. I think another way you could do it, instead of doubling lightning damage, you could say anytime you deal lightning damage, you deal additional lightning damage equal to your monk level, maybe.
Ooh, that's a lot. I think that's too much.
It is a lot, but it also isn't going to be, double critted, right? So, the way you have it now, it would be the 1d6 lightning damage, doubled from paralyzed, double again. Whereas it would be 1d6 level lightning damage, doubled for paralyzed, and then plus your monk level. So
I think
it would be
more damage getting it.
It would 17. Be more, so you could probably do half your monk level.
Yeah, I'd be okay with half, but only because if you're doing this and they're getting that on them, you're also at this level getting the lightning damage on every single hit that you make in general. So I know that it's a lot.
I say drop it down to 3 key points because that's how much fucking Quivering Palm is.
I would say that too. I think the key point cost is pretty high because Stunning Strike is already
it is
really
only
good,
once
and it's
per
1 key point. Yeah, it's only once per whatever.
Oh yeah, once for long rest. Yeah,
I just knew it was strong because it was paralyzed, but
paralyzed is very strong. But when you look at Stunning Strike being 1. And then you look at stuff like Quivering Palm being 3, or the invisibility feature that monks get being 3, which is really fucking good. Then
4,
I think 4, but still it's invisibility, which it's a greater invisibility plus resistance to all damage, which is fan-fucking-tastic.
And you're not concentrating on it.
Yeah, this is just one turn, one time a day. So
this is
I would say since this is 1 time per day, You could just not have it be a save. I know it seems
Ooh.
extreme, but
I didn't
like,
want to do paralyzed. That's
Paral-
no. That's why paralyzed is the only thing that you're saving on. You
Oh,
still
right.
yes.
The lightning
You
damage is
still
not
get the
affected by the
lightning
save.
damage. You're just not paralyzed. That's the
Oh,
only thing
okay.
you're saving for.
Okay, that's
they
that's
do work
not
differently.
clear because it's part of the same sentence. So it looks like on a failed save, paralyzed, and it should be on a failed save, the creature is paralyzed, and then a separate sentence. Any lightning damage the affected creature or
I
you
have
can do
on-
this. Once for long rest, you could spend 3 key points and after you hit a creature with attack. That creature takes double damage from lightning, and then also it must make a save and then be paralyzed. Because as it is right now, it would be that the save affects the double damage. If that's the case, then yeah, I think the save is fine.
Yeah. The
Wait,
save
would it?
was
Because
only
I'm-
for the paralyzed.
Because it explicitly says here, on a successful save, the target is not paralyzed. It doesn't
Yeah.
say anything about the lightning damage on a successful save.
I think it's cleared.
That's true.
More clear the other
Because
way.
Yeah,
but-
I do think it needs to be reworded, but I think that I at least understood it the way you intended it.
I get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. I just, for the sake of the rest of the 5e abilities that work that way, usually the thing that automatically happens goes to the front.
Yeah, I'm cool with
that's
that.
fair.
The wording's not my specialty in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just a save on the paralyzed, and I almost added damage to this, and I was like, no, because you're gonna be if you paralyze something like.
Yeah. All right, so I think, I mean, I know that was a lot of passion for that. I think we have all kind of come to an agreement on everything.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only thing at this point that I'm still like itching to poke at is the name. The name just feels a little awkward to me.
I feel
manipulation.
that. I feel like flow manipulation doesn't scream lightning to me.
Yeah.
It feels like that could be like an elementally agnostic ability, flow manipulation. So maybe something like, I don't know,
Way of the forking bolt.
Or I was gonna say, or I like that. I was gonna say way of like, I don't know, electric impulse or something. Yeah. Or just
Yeah,
wave
I was
electricity,
trying-
honestly.
I looked.
I was trying to stay away from the word electricity for some reason. It just didn't feel right.
Yeah,
How do
electricity
you feel
is
about
more. It is more of a modern term, so it feels a little bit off.
Yeah.
How do you feel
what was
about
it that you said, Adam?
I said way of the forked bolt.
I like that.
Yeah, that could work. I was looking up fucking lightning synonyms, and I get bolt, fulmination, and firebolt. Why is firebolt a synonym for lightning?
Because there's no such thing as a firebolt in real life, and lightning bolts
guess?
cost fire.
I did have one question
Oh,
before,
sure.
unless do you guys think the increases that you get from flow overdrive on the rest of the abilities are okay as well? Although
Yeah.
the first
I
one
thought they were
would
all
be
good.
changed in general if I gave it key point usage, you think?
Yeah,
Or...
I think Shawn mentioned the idea of that ability just having the key point cost.
If that
Oh.
with that in mind, the key point cost thing, I would make the improvement to improved impulse discharge maybe a little bit weaker, since you can do it more times per short rest.
I would have to. I think I would have to adjust both of those.
Like, what? Just make it 2d8 lightning damage instead?
Well, no,
Maybe
so
you get
impulse,
2d8 and then 4d8.
yeah, 2d8, and then I'd probably do 3d8, just because when you use this, it will decrease the cost of using impulse discharge, which already buffs it.
Yeah.
Implicitly. So like my changes that I think we all kind of on the same page on, add a use case for 2 key for this, then make it 1 key on this, make this 2d8 and this I would say 3d8 personally, just because it's
I
being
think that's
buffed
fine.
twice.
Yeah.
You know what?
I think this
make the first impulse ability increase to up to 2d8.
So wait, is he saying improved impulse discharge would start at 2d8, and then when you
Yeah.
get flow overdrive, it increases to 3d8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because this would become more common because you could do this for 2 key
Yes.
points.
Yeah. No, I get that. What would you change about the? Would you change the first impulse discharge ability improvement that you get from flow overdrive?
Yeah, make it cost 1 key point to do an additional time instead of 2.
Okay, gotcha.
So you could do it twice as often.
I like being able to use key points to do these.
With
Yeah.
your with your impulse drive, and it's really or impulse discharge. My mistake. It's a shame that Sid isn't here because you essentially turn into Sonic with this.
I thought it was really cool the zapping
Yeah.
around the battlefield with this.
No, I agree.
Also, I like that it can combine with taking the dash action, because the dash action increases your movement speed.
You
Right?
are a Tabaxi monk that has not moved yet. You take the dash action, and you're just like, I'm over there now, guys. Everyone who isn't me, good luck.
Yeah. I think this is fun. I might update this to include also your monk weapons.
Oh.
Just because
Sure.
non-Kinsai monks already they get monk weapons as well.
Sure.
You could also just make it any attacks that use your martial arts die is like a way you could possibly do it.
Yeah.
What do you guys say, Justin?
Going back to just that Tabaxi monk thing.
No, they're so fucking fast already.
Right.
Like giving them a monk subclass that focuses on speed.
Right, but here's the thing that you could do with it. I don't know. I don't even want to begin trying to figure out how the math would work for it. But you essentially teleport as a bonus action after you dash after you haven't already moved. You teleport as a bonus action. You still have the rest of your movement.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on a second.
That's a lot.
Okay, I just realized that flow overdrive is an always passive thing and not like a state. I think I'd still be okay with this in this. You can only do this once per long rest. That's probably okay.
Yeah, flow overdrive is just it's enhancing the other abilities. So I know it's impulse discharge. Impulse discharge gets enhanced, and then impulse discharge gets enhanced in 2 ways again. But then you also get lightning damage on your auto or your basics attacks. Your melee attacks, yeah. And then you get one big strong ability that you can use all of your lightning damage with.
Yeah.
So it's a bunch of enhancements, but that's like basically all it's for.
I think it works out great though, because like this gives you impulse discharge as like the basic unit of this subclass, and then almost everything else is about like, all right, your impulse discharge gets better, it gets cheaper, it does more damage. Like,
okay, I'm fine with it. The only thing that we're still stuck that we haven't come to an agreement on is the shocking diligence, because I had suggested that maybe combine these together and just make it add your wisdom to all dex checks.
I like add your wisdom instead of proficiency to these anyways. But I don't like taking that away because I do want it to be any. I did want it to be any skill.
My only issue with it being any skill is that it does not fit. Everything else in this class fits the flavor of the subclass. That would not. Because if you add your proficiency to like, I don't know, or maybe not performance, but like, I don't know, animal handling.
Religion check is the big thing to me that sticks out. Any sort of knowledge-based ones.
Knowledge, I think animal handling is kind of
But
odd.
even then, to me, it's you're using like your electrical impulses in your body to enhance anything for that. Like you focused on that. You spent that hour meditating to use your focus for that. Like that's what you're trained for that day, basically.
Also, like we have electrical currents that flow through like our brain with brain and shit. So like,
yeah,
I think even
I think that's what Zach was just referencing.
I didn't know.
I would say here. How about this? You can make this be Azure Wisdom to all dex checks, and then have this be you gain expertise in one skill, or like double proficiency in one skill of your choice. So that way, one's specified to a specific skill, and the other one's a flat bonus to a set of skills.
Yeah.
And
those would be 2 separate.
Yeah, 2 separate things. So either expertise in one skill, so double proficiency in one skill, or add your wisdom mod to all dex checks. So one's more broad, but one's more broad but specifically more powerful, and then the other one is more shallow but applies to multiple things.
Yeah, would the expertise then only apply to things that you already have proficiency in?
No, you just have
any skill that you want. I mean, you already have it applying to any proficiency that you want, so I don't see why not just give them expertise to any skill that they want.
Just makes maybe add a clause. If you say gain double your proficiency, just make a clause that says that you already aren't double proficient or some shit. I don't know. I know that there's.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You can only add your proficiency bonus like the one time.
Thought that there was.
I like those.
Because I think there's like special clauses where it says like in other things about it.
My only concern about that is that that's making the Dex ones too appetizing. I feel. And too picked too often. It's good in a lot of situations, and I want it to be more niche. I want you to be planning it. I want it to be useful, but I want it to be that, like...
You can make it so that for the Dex ones, you'd have to spend a key point to do it. So, like, anytime you make a Dex check, you can spend a key point to add your Wisdom modifier, and then the Expertise one is just a passive ability. That way, it costs some... It's not an obvious pick, because there's more buy-in involved.
Mm-hmm.
What about if instead of adding your Wisdom modifier, it let you, like, roll and add your martial arts die to the check?
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. It would scale with higher levels, so it's not just strong and then, average. It scales with you.
Although it would suck if you go to roll that juicy D10 and you get a 1.
Yeah, but I mean that happens sometimes.
It happens with Bardic Inspiration.
That's true.
No one complains about that ability. That ability is amazing.
And I like that it would give you something else to do with your martial arts die.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it should probably still cost a key point.
Yes.
With Zach's
yes.
I think I agree with that.
I like that. If we add the add key to it, I think I like that.
That feels a little meatier than just adding your Wisdom modifier, even though they're probably about equal in how good they are. The fact that this is a little swingier makes it feel a little meatier to me.
That's a good call. I'm upset I didn't think about it, just because that definitely is up my alley. But yeah, I also wanted it to scale, but I thought proficiency bonus. I thought one ability adding prof for free and the other one adding it at the cost of a key point would have felt weird. But I think making our martial arts die makes it really good. And I think it adds the flavor of this being empowered by your training as a monk.
Using a key to use a martial die. I like that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like that. I like those changes. And then if there's anything else you can think of for this, I'm cool with
I think those 4 would probably cover most out of combat uses.
Yeah, I think it might be nice to have like 5. I think 4 or 5 is the sweet spot for an ability like this.
I really kind of just wanted one more, but I couldn't think of anything.
You could make it like double your jump or something like that.
True.
Step of the Wind already does that.
You can also teleport. It does. Also, you have impulse discharge, and you could just teleport.
Yeah, you could just teleport.
Yeah.
I based this around Misty stuff.
Oh, hey, what if the 5th one was that you shed dim light for 10 feet?
You have dark vision?
Yeah, you have dark vision. It would be more helpful for your allies, but like light is so easy to come by that I feel like it just wouldn't be appetizing for a 6th level ability to like have that be the thing that you choose.
Okay.
Maybe never mind.
Okay, cool. Well, that was the idea that I had.
This is
sorry.
Good
job. But yeah, other than ironing that out, I think we've pretty much settled this on what we think about it. I think this is a very fun monk subclass.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well, that means it's Shawn's turn.
I'm willing to move on. So, like I said, I made a sorcerer. I followed the sorcerer's fucking theme of naming their subclasses. They're just random fucking shit. So this is a light sorcerer, but maybe not what you'd expect from something that's supposed to be light. The Actinic strain. Sorcerers of the Actinic strain are those whose blood have been tainted by the sickening radiance of the ratifying light and lived on. Actinic spells. You learn additional spells when you reach certain levels in this class, so typical stuff. They get access to evocation and necromancy. Actinic spells, Guiding Bolt, Ray of Sickness, Moonbeam, Ray of Enfeeblement, Bestow Curse, Slow, Sickening Radiance, Blight, Destructive Wave, and Wall of Light. Bonus cantrip. It should just be cantrip, not cantrips. You learn the light cantrip. Heinous Light. The ratifying light seeps into the light of your magic. When a creature starts its turn within an area of bright light shed from a spell that you have cast or enters the bright light for the first time on a turn, it must make a con save or become poisoned until they leave the area of bright light. The target repeats the save at any of each turns. On its success, it's immune for 24 hours. Brilliant Acclamation. You do not waver in darkness nor light. You gain the following benefits. You can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 120 feet. I'm thinking about maybe making that shorter. You gain resistance to radiant damage, and you have advantage on saves against effects that deal radiant damage, inflict blindness, or emit bright or dim light. Searing Necrosis. When a creature fails a saving throw against a sorcery spell you've cast, you can spend 1 sorcery point to mark the creature with a decaying light. This light is not visible except by creatures who can see invisibility, but the target feels a sharp pain as the light irradiates their flesh. While marked, the creature or the target gains a point of exhaustion. You can mark a target multiple times and it gains a point of exhaustion for each mark. The target or creature who can see the light can use an action to remove all of the lights, ending the effect. And then finally, Ratifying Light. You gain the ability to wield the power of Ratifying Light. As a bonus action, you can enter this state for 1 minute. For the duration, you gain the following benefits. You emit bright light up to 120 feet and dim light for an additional distance equal to the distance of bright light you shed. You can change the distance of the bright light at any time, no action required. Your Heinous Light feature applies to this light. Your Heinous Light feature ignores a creature's immunity to the poison condition. You are immune to radiant light and gain resistance to all other damage. And finally, the sorcery points cost to use meta magic or your Sear Necrosis on a spell is 1 fewer for spells which deal radiant light or shed bright light.
Oh my fucking god, this is incredible.
This is a lot. This is a lot.
God,
God
damn, Shawn.
Interesting.
I never would have expected somebody to come to this week's show with a fucking radioactive sorcerer.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going for. Yep.
Oh my god, this is so fucking cool, man.
I'm gonna say it. I don't know if radiation counts as an element, at least in the way that we were originally describing it.
It's
But
light.
I think
It's
that's
light.
and based
UV
on
light fucking kills you.
And based on like the already in-game sickening radiance, I think like Wizards agrees with him. This is so cool, man.
It is. I don't even know where to begin about trying to figure out balancing or not.
So-
I think I agree to lower the 120 feet on the darkness.
Yeah,
But 120 feet is the range on Devil's Sight. So
yeah, you can get
I
those
think
second levels
most
of Warlock.
things are 60.
literally the only ability in the game that allows you to see through magical darkness is at this range.
Yeah. And all devils have, I think, dark vision out to 220 feet, and their dark vision ignores magical darkness.
Yeah.
All devils that have that ability anyway.
Right.
So, like, it was the standard. I still feel like I'm kind of with Zach that it could be shorter, but it also matches how far your light can go as radiant.
So.
I don't think so either.
I agree that the 120-foot distance on Devil's Sight can be a pain sometimes, but like by analogy to the other abilities that do this, I think that's an appropriate distance. I do wish that all dark vision abilities had shorter ranges in this game, but
I agree.
This is what 5e has, so
I think
I like the idea, but I'm scared of the idea of killing somebody with exhaustion.
but I mean, you gotta do it 6 times.
to do it.
Yeah.
And also, they can spend an action to take them all off. Like,
Yeah.
and that's even if they're at 5.
Well, it says that this light is not visible except by creatures who can see invisibility.
But the creature can feel it. The creature doesn't have to
That's
see it. It knows it's there.
And
All
that's why
other creatures. Also, I point out at the end, the target or a creature who can see it.
Yeah.
can remove it.
I wanted to make sure that was why it was like that.
Yeah.
I think
That's the thing. The target can heal themselves of it, but anyone who can see the light
the
can heal
spell the subclass runs into it runs into the friendly fire problem because lights are very, very far range.
But does it? Because with Heinous Light, for instance, once your allies make their save against the Heinous Light, they're immune to it for 24 hours. So when you can at the beginning of the day cast the light cantrip, affect all your teammates until they become immune, and then they're no longer immune. And eventually your DM's just like, all right, you guys are all immune to this ability, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just trying to look at the other effects because
I thought that same thing.
All it does is poison. It doesn't damage.
It
Right,
doesn't
it's
damage.
it's just the poisoned condition, which I mean does totally suck.
Yeah.
But like,
I think
it's not the end of the world.
I think
it's bright light too. Okay, I see.
I think this is a really nice way to use poison too, and to even do something like the immunity to the poison condition. I think is a really cool addition.
My guess is that my guess is that ratifying light is supposed to be you can use this. You get it back on a long rest.
Yeah, I also forgot the long rest thing like Adam did.
See,
Damn.
you guys were forgetting to put it there. I was unnecessarily putting it there.
So Shawn, for I think it's the Clockwork and Aberrant Sorcerers, they get the ability to enter the stance a second time for I think 4 sorcery points. Would you be all right with something similar on this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
How many sorcery points get?
Sorcerers get 20
level.
at 20th level. They get equal to their level, but when they lose sorcery points, they can consume their own spell slots to make more.
Yeah.
But of course, it's still a limited pool, and how many spells are you willing to give up?
Unless you're a
I think this. Honestly, I have basically no. I don't see anything in this that I think you need to change. Like I think this is masterfully done, Shawn.
No, I think it's super cool. I love the like niche things that you've added in there, like the advantages on radiant, blindness, and light or dim light. I love when they like you add or subclasses add features that are like niche, but like when those come up, you're like, oh fuck, I have something.
I
agree.
I love the idea of cheating at a drinking game by just casting light. And on your mug, and you're just like drinking, and everyone just like, oh, I'm already sick. What the fuck?
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. That's actually a really interesting idea. Yeah, you can use. I wanted Heinous Light to be obviously most applicable in combat, but you can use it out of combat in ways that nobody would expect. Because a creature can see you cast the light cantrip and be like, it's just light. But then they start to feel sick and like, what the fuck is going on? And don't know why. Obviously, if you use this in combat, I would let like other spellcasters or something be able to discern that's coming from the light. If they make like a check or something, I wouldn't just make it like you can stealthily poison people without them knowing.
Yeah,
but also like most creatures are immune to poison, and you can only overcome that once you're 18th level.
Yeah. Well, and also even the creatures that aren't immune to poison, most monsters have really good con saves. Like it's called a strong save for a reason. Like
I think also too when it comes to is essentially letting Searing Necrosis or other meta magics that have one cost essentially you can do for free.
Yep.
I think that's something I'm a little skeptical about.
I personally don't have a problem with that. I think the sorcerer really could have done. Honestly, that should be like the 20th level sorcerer ability, in my opinion. Just make meta magics free for a minute. What's the big deal? Like,
or even just lower the cost of all meta magic by 1.
That's what I mean. Like, obviously, don't make Quicken spell free, but like other.
So wait, which ones do you have access to for only 1 sorcery point?
There's quite a few. It's not like a short list, but you also only get 4 meta magics as a sorcerer anyway. Period.
Oh God, right? Yeah. So you'd get Searing Necrosis, and you'd get.
So looking at the meta magics, you get Careful Spell, which is the thing where you can make creatures automatically succeed. You get Distance Spell, which doubles the range. You get Empowered Spell, which
Empowered is only 1 sorcery point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But it only lets you re-roll
Okay.
once, and you must use the new rolls. So it doesn't even empower. It just
Oh wait, sorry. I was confusing empowered and what's the one that maximizes damage?
There
there is no
there isn't.
there isn't a maximized damage in this edition. That's an older edition. They have
Oh,
heightened, they have heightened spell and empowered spell. Empowered used to be the maximized damage thing, I believe, in older editions. But now it's not even necessarily empowered. It's just like retry damage because it lets you roll again, but you must use the new roll. You don't even get to choose.
Oh, but it is a number of dice of your choice, so you can only pick up the ones that you rolled low on.
True,
but,
if you roll ones, you could still get the same. And I had a really fun idea for stuff like empowered spell and savage attacker. Make it so that you roll twice as many dice, but use the top half.
Oh,
so like if
cool,
you roll fireball,
essentially gives you advantage on the damage roll.
No, not advantage. Like rolling stats, you choose the higher results.
Right. Sorry.
So let's use.
No, sorry. I'm thinking of it as advantage on a set being roll the set twice and choose the better version of that set.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's say you do Burning Hands and it's 3d6. You roll 66 and use the 3 highest d6s.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yes, I think I'm describing it poorly.
He was comparing it to advantage, but I get where you're going with it, but it's not quite that.
It's not the ability that you've gave penance for lightning damage, where I roll it twice and take the better total. But it's roll twice as many dice and choose as many as you would normally roll from that set.
Yeah.
So
I guess in a way that is like exactly how advantage works, just advantage works with 2 dice instead of like 3.
6. Yeah.
I guess it is just like advantage, isn't it? Because Elven Accuracy works that way. Because you roll 3 dice and you just choose the one that is the biggest.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So there's 5 total meta magics, 5.5 technically.
Yeah. But none of them are particularly strong.
Empowered spell, extended spell, subtle spell, and then twin spell if you cast it with a cantrip or a first level spell slot.
Yeah, twin spell would be the best one.
You could only twin a first level spell with it.
Yeah, which also you could also only you could also only twin your
cantrips.
You could twin your cantrips. You could also only twin spells that target one creature.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. I think the best use case for getting 1-point meta magics for free is just twinning a cantrip on all of your turns. Like, that's probably the best thing you can do with a free 1 point.
Quicken's always is 2, so never mind.
Quicken's 2, yeah.
Quicken's 2. But I mean, then quickened with like 1 sorcery point instead
is good.
That's the thing, quickened with 1 sorcery point is pretty good. Hell, that makes a good use case. Just, let me use my action for a big spell, and then I'll just quicken a firebolt. Like, why not?
Hold on. Did you look at the alternative or the additional ones from Tasha's?
I have not. No. I was going with this.
There's Transmuted Spell, which allows you to change the damage type, and that's it. The other one is Seeking Spell, but that's 2 sorcery points.
Heightened goes from 3 to 2, which heightened spell
is the rest of them are reduced by 1.
Yeah. I mean,
yes.
I mean, I'm just trying to go.
I thought there was one that like changed based on the level of spell that you were casting. Oh, that's twin. That's
twinned. Yeah.
Yeah, I think twinned is the only one that does that.
I thought quickened also did that. I'm surprised that it doesn't.
No, quickened is just a flat cost.
Yeah, well. But yeah, that's I mean, I'm okay with all of those being free for 1 minute. Honestly, I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's crazy at all.
Only spells that deal radiant damage or shed bright light, so it's not anything. So it's still niche. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely strong, but honestly, it's the level 20 feature and it's a stance. It can afford to be strong. Like,
I have one question on on the light for Searing Necrosis. So if a creature can see invisibility, does that light that's in the flesh, does that emit any light that they can see? Like, does it emit like a dim light? Does it emit like a bright light? Like,
No, it's just they can see it. It's just like it's
Like
as if
fairy
looking at a
fire,
UV
right?
light, like a UV light. Like it doesn't really emit anything. It's just like if you could see invisibility, you see that it's there, like glows or something.
right? Okay. My bigger concern, or not my bigger concern, but I was curious as how it would work with like the rest of the abilities, like or with your bright light feature, I should say, with
It
Aim's
wouldn't.
light.
It wouldn't. No, it's just a mark. It's just flavored as like a burning light. So like it's not emitting any light that only
Okay.
invisible creatures can see, or
Okay.
creatures that can see invisibility can see.
Okay.
So there's no interaction there now.
I really want to play this sorcerer in a one shot.
Funny, I want to play either your paladin in a one shot or Zach's monk in a one shot. I don't know yet.
I want to play my monk.
Hey, do a monkadin.
No, I want to get the best of like all
the-
of what we could get from one.
The most mad possible class multi-class ever. Monk paladin. Fuck yeah.
No big deal. Just need Dex, Con, Wisdom, and Charisma.
Yeah,
No biggie.
no big deal.
I guess you don't
And-
technically need Dex, right? You could just you need Dex or Strength, so it doesn't even matter if you went Strength.
Well, and you need strength to multi-class out of paladin rules as written.
Oh, it's true. You also need Dex because if you wear heavy armor as a monk, you can't use their like other monk abilities.
Right. And actually, don't you need Dex to multi-class into monk?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need Dex and Wisdom, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You need strength, Dex, charisma, and wisdom all above 13 to multi-class. You probably want your con to be good because it's con. So the only ability that you can have under 13 is intelligence. Good luck.
Usually any sort of like double classing in well, I guess this isn't magic based, but
Pretty much double
I was gonna say
classing
magic users.
in things that aren't the charisma casters is a pain in the
Yeah.
ass.
Oh god, yeah.
Because like even like multi-classing between like cleric and druid could be a pain in the ass in some ways.
Yeah.
Do you guys think we have time to do the barbarian?
If you're usually our time cap, but
I
unless
don't.
Zach and Justin, okay.
I cannot. I have to work
damn.
super early. I'm sorry.
No
Oh
problem.
damn.
We got through
Well-
one for each of us, so I'm happy with that. And on time.
We'll keep this barbarian in the pocket then. We can go
I'm
over it some
glad
other
that
time.
mine wasn't super controversial. That way it was the last one and it just like finished off.
Yeah, no, I've got no complaints about this. This
I
is so
will-
fucking cool, man.
I mean,
very well
Thank you.
executed.
I'm
you.
still saying that I think that it was stretching, the thing, but whatever.
It's light, dude. It's light. I don't know what to tell you.
Whatever.
We agreed on light, and I was like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, then I am ready. Before we get into the closing here, we forgot to discuss what we wanted to do next week, or not next week.
And
I think we
I-
should take the next week off because it is between Christmas
I
and New
agree.
Year's.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think a break
Sweet.
would
Yeah,
just
'cause
is warranted.
Yeah.
But the next podcast we do, starting in the new year of 2022.
I was gonna say, are you sending us backwards in time? You motherfucker.
Don't
Um,
fucking do that. Halo Infinite
I-
just came out, you bastard.
I had an idea. It might be very hard though. I mentioned it to Zach, so it's up to you guys. I was going through all the feats. There's like next to no social oriented feats in the game.
Oh yeah.
More than half are combat. I think more than half are exploration as well. But there's like next to none. So you guys know I've broken all the feats into smaller feats. Out of 180 feats, this is of course including our homebrew feats, there are 20 that are usable in social situations. There are over 100 that are usable in combat, and I think there's probably also over 100 usable in exploration. So I was thinking we could do feats that are socially oriented. And just so we're clear on what social means, I have 3 ways of categorizing feats. Combat is interacting with creatures in a combat scenario. Social is interacting with creatures in a non-combat scenario. And exploration is literally everything else. So, feats that allow you to interact with creatures in a unique way outside of a combat scenario. So like an example of that would be like the actor feat, which allows you to disguise yourself with advantage or imitate voices of other creatures. Another example, something I was thinking of was like maybe being better at doing like pickpocketing people.
Okay, I've got an idea, but I think it's bad.
Would you, for example, consider the linguist feat a social feat?
That would be a social feat, yes. Anything that allows you to interact with other creatures in a non-combat capacity.
I agree that this is a difficult thing, but I like the idea, and I think that it's a great thing for us to work on when we've got 2 weeks between episodes.
The grand majority of things that we make for this podcast are combat-oriented. So I think it'd be nice to have like a break in pace, and also just, I feel like 5e really undersells the social aspect of the game, and it'd be cool to have more options. I agree that's going to be a lot harder just because, like, social encounters aren't like super fleshed out mechanically in the game, combat is, but I think it'd be nice to have more stuff like that. I think if you're struggling with ideas, a good way of going about this is choosing a skill in the game and figuring out a good way of using it in a social scenario, like maybe animal handling. Maybe you have an advantage in scenarios that allow you to interact with animals when, like, maybe you can I don't know, like tame a farmer's wild animal in a way. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of potential for you to do things. It's hard because like stuff like sleight of hand, even the example I gave for sleight of hand, where it's like you have advantage on pickpocketing. There's not a ton of things with sleight of hand that aren't pickpocketing. So is that feat just giving you advantage on all sleight of hand checks technically? Not really.
See, and I feel like I've used sleight of hand a lot in like our current campaign, and I don't think it's ever been to try and pickpocket someone.
Yeah, there's sleight of hand. Like a lot of people use sleight of hand for things like, hiding things on their person, or for maybe tying rope or stuff like that. That's DM dependent.
I think I've used it a lot for like sort of close-up magic, like confidence game kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's another cool way of doing it. You could also do stuff like using gaming sets in social situations in unique ways.
Ooh.
Just like those are just examples of what you could use, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got a couple of ideas brewing, so I think I like this idea. I think I like this. I think
it'll also be our most challenging podcast as far as us being able to give good feedback, just because I think we all have pretty decent understandings of how combat works, all the mechanics that go into that. It's gonna be a little more difficult to think about the social stuff just because that's so abstract and DM dependent.
Yeah. Well, and also like balance kind of goes out the window with that, because it's like, well, you can't really balance this against combat because it's just a completely different pillar of the game. Like
I recently did a thing where I looked at various tier lists for feats, and social feats are largely panned as being weak. Actors generally seen as weak. Linguist is seen as weak because linguist is kind of weak.
Linguist is weak even by the standard of the other social feats.
Yeah. And there's not even that many social feats. So that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be an interesting exercise for us to try something like that.
I got nothing in mind, that's really cool. I'm game to try.
We got 2 weeks, so we got some time.
If I come up with more than one idea, I will be impressed with myself. I've got one. I think it's good.
I'm super interested to see what everybody does. I'm hoping not everybody just jumps to stuff like you get advantage in this scenario and stuff. Maybe like I was thinking more like unique features, like I don't know, maybe like you're really good at doing a specific thing in social, like maybe you're really good at like proving yourself honorably with valor, or like showing chivalry.
I think the trouble with that is that the more specific you make it, the more powerful you need to make it, or the more seemingly unrelated specific things you need to include for it to even remotely approach being balanced against other feats. And with your proficiency point system, that wouldn't be a big deal, because you could just say, oh, this is a small, very niche social feat. It costs 3 proficiency points, whatever. But like if we're saying, oh no, this is going
A
to be a
full
half
feat.
feat, and so you're taking like +1 to charisma or wisdom on top of something else, it's like, well, there's kind of a bottom line for how strong that needs to be for it to be even close to worth it. So I think this will be an interesting challenge.
An example of a good social feat that already exists is the observant feat, which gives you advantage on on passive insight, gives you +5 passive insight, and allows you to read lips. I think it's a really good social feat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like
Agreed.
that's an example of a good so there's a couple examples you can look at to see what like the bar is. But yeah, I think this will be fun. But I think we could go ahead and wrap things up here. Was there anything else you guys wanted to say this week?
Today's word of the day is actually a word that Justin already said. It's fulminate. It means to explode violently, as in a bolt of lightning.
Hell yeah.
Drink water, everybody. Continue
It's
to
true.
hydrate.
I've
Water
been
your
doing it
friends.
all podcast. All right. Well,
Good work, Shawn.
well, with that, finding what is lost must be found, and what is found must be remembered. See ya
Bye.
in 2 weeks in the
Bye.
new year. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.